Okay. Good morning and welcome, everybody. I'm pleased to host yet another media roundtable today to continue to keep our residents informed on the continued steps we are taking in the Riverlife construction project area. This is now the fourth roundtable that we've had on the Riverlife Phase 1 since the project stopped, and one of over a dozen committee and council meetings where we've shared our steps publicly through the process of removing the previous developer, negotiating settlements, and reissuing the RFPs, request for proposals, to select a new developer. I'm pleased that the city has selected the Vagood Odie Riverrun Group as a developer team, and I welcome Mitch Vagood here with me this morning, and both of us will be answering questions on the project as it is now restarted. Obviously, it's never positive when a developer misses their benchmarks or fails to perform, but we know that does happen for a variety of reasons. I'm very proud that in the city of Wausau, we treat developers fairly but firmly. We gave the previous developer the legally required amount of time to restart their project, and when they did not, we moved as quickly as possible to select a new developer and restart the project. Also, the Riverlife area is much more than the village's Phase 1 project. We have opened the new Riverlife Park, and we are looking forward to the official grand opening dedication for that park on Wednesday, August 7th at 10 a.m., and we invite everybody to come and participate in that grand opening. Also soon, we'll be putting out other RFPs, requests for proposals, for over 10 acres of development land at the former Great Lakes Cheese and the Wausau chemical sites north of the Riverlife project. The new park, as with the entire redevelopment area, has been a decade-long project which started with the public planning process, followed by the strategic acquisition of blighted properties, then remediation of the sites from environmental issues, and significant private fundraising and public construction was built out the great amenities that you see in that area today. As you can see coming to fruition in the Riverlife Park, the Riverlife area is purposefully and thoughtfully planned to be activated and attractive to a wide audience of users, especially families and kids of every age group. Sometimes the most meaningful and transformational projects are also the most complex and sometimes takes longer than we'd like. But remember how that area looked like just a little over 3 years ago, and now take a stroll down the Riverlife area. Today, and I'm confident that the city's resources and efforts are some of the best investments that we've ever made in the city's history. As we reported numerous times previously, the city secured full repayment of all resources, including damages, totaling $450,000 from the previous developer. The city has settled all liens with the three primary lien holders, the Samuels Group, Monrovich Architects, and Ayers Associates. Perhaps important to remind all again, the city did not contract these firms, but our development agreement allows the city to enforce against a previous developer to move the project forward. As has also been noted many times previously, the settlements total do not exceed the original incentive for the project and allows the new developer to hit the ground running, receiving the work at the site and off-site materials owned by the contractors, which have been purchased to date. Another reminder, the new developer is not receiving any additional incentives for what was originally approved. In other words, there is no added city money being given to continue this project. Our goal has been to select a new developer and to move the project forward with no additional resources from the city, and I'm proud to again note that we have achieved this. We are appreciative to Mitch and his team who have shown confidence in the city and our riverfront to move the project forward together. And now I'd like to pass it off to Mitch for some of his thoughts and comments, and then afterward, we're both glad to answer some of your questions. Thank you. Mitch Vagood.
We're real happy that working with the city of Wausau, I think they did a great job of communicating with us and showing us where this project, the problems it had and where we can take it going forward here. We're planning on, we're already getting started, but we'll be rolling we're hoping by next May pretty much to be open. We have a few obstacles we're hitting right away out of the gate, recertifying some of the existing things that have been going on, but I think within 60 days or so you'll start to see some sticks going up. Right now you're just seeing some dirt being moved around and stuff like that. And, that being said, any questions?
I saw some chemicals being sprayed on the site by a company that someone had, I don't know, 4-wheeler or something. Can you tell me what was going on there?
I'm not sure. I think it was weed killer because the weeds were so high down there that there were so we could operate around that area.
I'm just gonna try to get the questions on the microphone so we can hear them for the audio recording.
I have another one. How much do you expect the total project to cost at this point, and what's the plans for number of units, stories, and so forth?
Well, going forward, it's gonna be a 4-story building, and we're right around probably the 11 million range. The units are gonna be 75. An interesting thing we kind of changed up a little bit is we're adding 11 3-bedroom units compared to the old plans, mainly for, we're thinking people our age that are, the mayor said he's gonna rent one.
And I know I have aged, but that's another story.
But, so we're putting in some 3 bedrooms for 3-bedroom, 3-bath units, 11 of them. And kind of swinging a little bit that way, along with, I think we're doing about half of them are 1 bedrooms and the other 30 or so are gonna be 2 bedrooms.
So 75 total units?
Yeah, 75 total units.
So this project has obviously been fraught with a lot of controversy since the construction paused. Looking back on the decision to go with Franz in the first place, is there something that you will change with the way the city decides to work with developers in the future?
We already have, and we had, safety clauses in place beforehand, which he had passed in the original first place. We've tightened them, so to speak. We used to go back 5 to 10 years, now we're going back to 15, just to make sure that everything is decent and set to go, kosher if you wanna call it that. It was unfortunate what happened, but really there was nothing that could be done about it, not on the city's side. And we had to wait legally to move the process forward. But what we did do is to make sure that Mr. Franz at that time came to numerous committee meetings, finance, economic development, and to the city council to update. And obviously it did not work out the way that he had said it would. Legally, we had to wait and to protect the city as far as possible litigation from him. We waited the required amount of time and we moved forward quickly. Hence the reason why that's where we're at today and restarting.
I have a 2-part question. First for the mayor and then for Mitch. Mayor, obviously, like we've all said, there's been several developers. How can we promise the city, or, I guess promise is kind of a strong word, but let these community members know that this is gonna come into fruition? And then off of that, Mitch, question for you is how will you and your company ensure that this will come to be?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I find exciting, and I give these guys a lot of credit as far as their persistence and tenacity, because they wanted to get involved with it from day one. And for whatever reason, the council decided one contractor or one developer and then another. But the good news is this is where we're at today. This is something being moved forward. Folks, remember how that area looked just a few years ago. Blighted buildings, the abandoned buildings, bad soil, etc. And how it's been transformed in 3 years. Now, what I've been told, it's always the hardest one to get the first project going, so to speak. Now, the good news is we got a beautiful park down there and something that's really exciting. People absolutely love it. And like I said, August 7th, I invite everybody to come out and participate. It's just another one of those good positive things for the city. But now when this project is done, I think that's what's gonna be shown as far as how successful it was and the plans involved. Yes, it took a little more time, but we had to do everything correctly, properly, and legally, which we have done. And I think most people understand deals like this can be very complex. Sometimes things don't work out. That's life. You can have all the experts say you're all set to go, you think you got all your plans in place, and for whatever reason it doesn't happen. The thing is, you just don't sit there and wait for something to happen, you move forward aggressively to get it done. And that's what we've done.
And my family's been in the Waus area since the 1800s, and Odie and River End, we all live basically within blocks of Riverlife, so we felt strong about it, and we have the wherewithal to get this done. So that's the main reason we have the interest in it, and we'd like to assure the community that we will be getting it completed.
So in the initial press release announcing that Gorman would no longer be on the project and would be taking over the landmark, I got a call from the owner of that building, Scott Williams, who said that deal was nowhere close to happening. And that was in the really early stages, and he was actually quite shocked to see that press release. Can you talk a little bit about what went into that announcement? And also, it seems a little odd that Gorman would be too busy for the project since they have such a large portfolio, and it's such a huge company that can work on so many different projects.
I can talk to you afterward, myself and Chris.
I'd actually like to ask that on the record.
Okay. You wanna address that?
It's not off the record if we talk to you after. It's just not very relevant to the folks on this piece, but the, I think we've discussed before, two things. One, obviously, and I won't speak for, the owners of Landmark. Obviously, they're in a due diligence period. They have a signed letter of intent. That signed letter was a basis for Gorman to apply for tax credits, from the state, which they've been awarded for. So clearly there's been coordination between the two of them. They do have to come to a completion, to an understanding, a final set of terms and a final agreement before the sale happens. And we know that's continuing, and that's a process, especially on a project like that where it has a variety of different funding sources, including tax credits. You have to negotiate all those terms before the closing. So I know that's going on. We hope, obviously we support that project. We support the renovation of the landmark. We hope that it can come to fruition. Your question on Gorman is a very simple one, and I'm sure they would answer it the same way. They have a long history of working throughout the state. They don't have a lot of subcontractors locally, obviously. They don't do a lot of they have done projects with the city of Wausau before, but they don't do a lot of projects in central Wisconsin. And they, like many other contractors or developers, are quite busy in their home turf in the south, and so, we made it a priority, as you know, that the project starts as soon as possible. If we were, I think, willing to wait a longer period of time, they certainly could have still got the project done, but it wouldn't have been able to start immediately, and it's a testament to Mitch's team and to Bob Odie's crew and the other folks that are able to start immediately. And really, that was viewed as strategic, for the project and for the city in the long haul. Obviously, people really want to see the project come to fruition. There's a lot of interest. There were already a lot of pre-leasing, that had gone on with the project. And when it stalled, that was, unfortunate to those folks who are excited about it. So we thought it was important to make sure it gets done as soon as possible.
Did you guys communicate with the building's owner before you put out that press release?
No. Well, again, that press release only noted that it won tax credits and that it was in discussions. That's all we noted. It's public information. We spoke with Gorman. It came from Gorman, the phrase. So they have a signed letter of intent. I haven't spoken to Scott recently, but again, the information that we shared was simply that they won tax credits and that was Gorman's priority. Not sure it's.
When's the
Go ahead, Nina.
expected or hopeful completion date?
We're hoping to be by, I would say, June 1st to take occupancy. Again, it's gonna depend on the weather this winter. If it's 30 below in November, it's gonna push us back a little bit with getting the exterior work or how far spring goes by, but that's the expected completion date. And it could possibly be moved up or moved back, but right now, that's where our target is.
Michael?
So have you spoken to anybody that is current or had lease agreements under Mike France? Because I know that was one of his things. He said, we've already got businesses, we already have residents that want to move in. That was his whole point of adding the second story or the extra story to the building. Have you spoken to any of those, and do they still plan on occupying the building upon completion?
We're still working with Pfefferly Management, who was the exact same management company that Franz had to start with. So
The interest is still there, and there have been some commitments, just as before. obviously if the interest wasn't there, it wouldn't be getting done. Anybody else?
Mitch, I believe it was you, but it might have been the mayor, but someone mentioned, problems or issues on the site earlier, in the speech today. Can you tell me what some of those problems or challenges are?
It's not major problems.
Just
it's-
getting the place cleaned up so they can
Yeah.
start reconstruction, removing the old trailers from down there, getting rid of the weeds, just to get the project started and moving forward.
Yeah, there's a couple, you know, recertification of the geopiers from an engineering point of view and a couple small architectural things because we're changing it to a 4-story building, making 75 units.
And also, who are the subcontractors on it? Who are the contractors on the project?
Well, REO Construction, Bob Odie is the actual, our partner is the builder.
Are any of these subcontractors from the original project involved in this, or was it?
Currently, no.
Anything else from anyone? Okay, thanks for coming.